All right, guys, we made it. The 100th episode of the Marketing Operators Podcast. So we're going to talk more about big rocks this year, some of the big growth marketing projects that we're focused on.
We went from operating in absolute disarray to like, oh, it's marketing operations that gets us to the point of launching 2 or 3 of those level of campaigns or product launches every single week. It basically comes down to like, what are our working norms and what are the workflows and like, what are the underpinnings so that we can collectively get everything done that we need.
In the past, I've set KPIs where I thought about like, do we want to set a goal of like diversification goals or new channels? But I don't want to incentivize that because maybe that's not the best for your efficiency. If you're testing properly, you'll just allocate your media mix to where it's the most efficient based on that.
I think we could probably test a little bit more, especially across different teams. So let's just call it more testing, more visibility into those tests and learnings. That happens at the channel level. That happens in the postmortems. That happens at end of quarter.
Are there any other major level ups or major facelifts that you're trying to give to your marketing operations process this year outside of the postmortem?
There's a lot that's in the work. We are launching TikTok Shop. We're looking for a head of social.
As far as I'm concerned, as it relates to marketing ops right now, I just like to tighten the bolt on what we've got.
All right, guys, we made it to the 100th episode of the Marketing Operators Podcast. I'm celebrating with a $9 cold brew from Blue Bottle this morning. I thought I would treat. I'm out in LA right now, and it shocks me how expensive the coffee is. But I thought it was worth celebrating today with this expensive cold brew. So, episode 100, guys, it's been awesome.
I pulled out the Marketing Operators mug that you so kindly gave me.
I saw that pre-show. Nice, guys. Well, I just want to say I'm very grateful for both of you. It's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot, and from all the guests we've had on, it's been quite the ride, and I'm excited for the next 100 episodes.
That was way too thoughtful of a response. This is a very nice thing to say.
Yeah.
No, it's been great. I'm excited to celebrate episode 1000 with you guys.
I want to know how many. So now that we're 100, Connor MacDonald, how many have you done? What's the tally? Do you know? It's got to be like 97. I feel like.
I think it's 98. I think I've missed 2.
Impressive. Very impressive.
I brought this up a couple weeks ago, but yeah, I mean, it's fun. I'll have to miss more because then I get to listen to you guys. And I'm like, oh yeah, I got some good marketing content to catch up on.
Well, now I got granola going on all these. Cody inspired me to finally download granola. So I got
during the podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been using granola too for just my meetings. I didn't
so I turned it on. So I was doing the CRO thing the other day and like just dumped in all the notes from Dylan. So yeah, highly recommend it. I just always toss it on.
Dude, granola is like so much better than anything else. I mean, you don't really need. I've learned that because granola does the transcripts, like you don't really need the recording. You can just go to the transcript and Control F and find anything you want. I'm like, I don't know why I was using grain for so long, and I had this like add granola at the bottom of my list, and I finally did it, and it's like just night and day better than anything else I've used.
You know, the other thing that I've been doing. Have you guys seen the Gemini summaries of meetings?
Yeah.
It will just like auto create. What I've liked doing is I'll just add myself to way more meetings, attend none of them, and then just read the Gemini notes after. That's a great little workflow. Yeah, it's like I feel like I'm getting probably 60-70% of the meeting by reading through the doc for 4 minutes or whatever.
Can you do that with granola?
You can do. We just do this. So you can't add it, but you can do folders. And so like we just kind of did this because like we would be asking like, hey, can you send the notes? I'm not able to make the meeting. And so now it just automatically goes to a folder, and then you can have it just like go to a channel after it if you wanted to. So it's like all of our growth team meetings will just go to that folder, and anyone that would be able to be in those meetings can just go and check it. But yeah, totally agree.
I got my little mark.
Totally agree that like, yeah, you can get 70% of the gist of the meeting by just reading it, which is great.
So we're nerding out on AI note takers. That's topic 1 of the episode, but let's get into it. We got some fun things to go through today. Before we do that, we want to thank the sponsors: Motion, Richpanel, Prescient, Aftersell, and Rivo.
One thing that's become really obvious this year is creative strategy is changing. It is no longer just about make better ads or even make more ads. You have to have AI in your workflow. You have to understand all the right best practices today. And the leverage point is how you think about the creative.
And that's where a lot of teams are struggling. People are still learning creative strategy the same way they did years ago, through trial and error, intuition, and there hasn't been a structured way to learn that role properly.
It's also super hard to find great creative strategists these days. It's still a new role. And it's one that's extremely important, but there's a lot of self-learning. And so that's why the training in the space is so important. And Motion is a huge leader of that. And they're launching a new free course and community launching in March. And this is going to be a new way that people can really master creative strategy.
And what I really like is that this is all taught live. Things are changing so fast, so rapidly right now that courses that were recorded 6 or 8 months ago, like those are all outdated by now. The course won't just be listening to people talk about ads. You will actually be hands-on in this course. So you're building concepts, you're actually making creative, you're testing it, and you're ultimately learning how to make decisions when things don't work out the first time.
And the instructor lineup is legit. There are creative experts from brands like Caraway, Calm, Harry's, Space Goods, Happy Mammoth, and agency leaders and founders from scaled brands. They're teaching what they're doing right now, not what worked 3 years ago.
There'll also be some potential, I'm supposed to say internships, at least for Jones Road, I'm going to say job opportunities. You'll have the ability to sign up and learn more, but we will be interviewing a few candidates as part of this partnership with Motion, which I am so excited about. The course is live. It's free to register. Seats are limited. If creative performance is part of your job in 2026, then this is worth paying attention to. We'll drop the link in the show notes.
All right, let's get into it. So we're going to talk more about some big rocks this year, some of the big objectives, big growth marketing projects that we're focused on. We got a bunch from all three of our brands that we're working on. So Connor, let's start with you. One of the first one in your list was big and bold marketing operations. So I think this is a good one to start with, not too different than marketing operators. So what you wrote here is building a scalable operating system for your marketing team that enables faster, more consistent execution through standardized processes, clearer decision making, and better cross-channel coordination. So I want to start off with like what have you done last year or just in previous years to like enable marketing operations? And because this is something I've also spent a lot of time thinking about, and we've, it's one of those things where I feel like we've taken a bunch of steps forward, then a few steps backwards, then a few steps forward, a few steps backwards. And like over the course of 3, 4, 5 years, we're definitely working more efficiently, but I still feel like there's a lot of areas to improve how we get the work done. So like, let's just start with like historically, like what have you done to enable marketing operations? And like when I hear marketing operations, it's like getting the work done. Is that what you mean when you say?
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, so I've talked about this a bunch, and it's always something that I kind of geek out on. It triggers the like OCD part of my brain. It basically comes down to like, what are our working norms and what are the workflows and like, what are the underpinnings so that we can collectively get everything done that we need? And that's because at Ridge, we went from, and I talk about this all the time, launching very, very few things in 2019, 2020, to all of a sudden 2025, we were launching like 2 or 3 new things a week. At times, just insane velocity. And the team was basically the same headcount. I remember this vividly, but it was end of 2019 where like we had to launch watches. That doesn't even actually track. Maybe it's 2021 or something. We had to launch watches. And honestly, the one thing almost like broke the team completely. Like we were so far from where we needed to be in terms of timelines, and we're scrambling the jets for like 2 weeks before the launch. The night before, we're like finally buttoning everything up. So we went from like operating in absolute disarray to like, it's marketing operations that gets us to the point of launching 2 or 3 of those level of campaigns or product launches every single week. And I'll just give you like a couple examples. What we have in place currently that I think has been the most beneficial. One, we have everything on our go-to-market board in Notion. We have a really kind of fine-tuned task system. So when we build a tier 1 product launch, we know that there are a certain amount of tasks that get associated with it. Those get built out. Those get assigned to people. Those tasks have due dates set based on like we back into all the timelines. So if we do a tier 1 launch, a year from now, we know we need to do the marketing summary. 6 months from now, we need to do the channel strategies a week after that, and then we're doing a shot list, and then we're doing the shoot, and we're delivering the content. Then we have 2 weeks to develop all the emails and ads and landers, and then we review it, and then it goes live 2 weeks later. And that's like basically how we're backing into that. So a very fine-tuned task system, and it's flexible enough because we then meet around those things twice a week. So we have a channel manager meeting where we are reviewing basically all those different stage gates to make sure we're all aligned. If new things come up, we can add those, and that's why I say it's like a flexible system. And then we have another meeting where we're all getting together and we were all looking at the board, and we talked through each of our different go-to-market review boards in Figma many episodes ago. But that's the way the system works now. The handful of things, and then I'm curious if you have any feedback or if you guys address any of these issues internally. But there's some of them are super funny. One, Slack hygiene. I tweeted about this. Everybody using more threads this year. It drives me crazy. People messaging in channels.
Don't even get me started. First of all, I actually love how much you geek out on like the operation stuff, because it's so not me. Like we're going through similar things where like things are breaking in our process, and as we grow, it's just not working, and it's a hard thing to catch up on. But like I just can't do it. Like somebody will tell me timelines, and my brain just doesn't. It's a different language. Like it just doesn't compute, and so I have to leave it to other people. But I love your obsession with it, and I think it's awesome. But yeah, on the Slack stuff, dude, like, yeah, we like channels. Like I hate when people do too much in DMs, because it's like, well, they said this, and it's like, let's just do it all in one place, like everyone say, and then threads
right.
as well. Totally. What are your what are your guys' like hygiene guidelines?
I mean, the main one is I would like to have more public conversations. I think there are some weird nuances to that one. Like we have a channel for partnerships, for instance, where all of our partnership work was getting done in the DMs, and we had a public channel, and there were like 90 people in the public channel. And I'm like, I'm not surprised that people don't want to talk in front of 90 people. We got Sean in there, the CEO. Like you just never, like you never want to, the only time you want to be posting in there is when you're like, something has been complete. You don't ever want to sound like you might not be on the same page, you don't have something done, or you're looking for feedback, whatever. So I actually kicked out basically everybody from that channel. So like, we'll try that. And I think that's one way. It's like, now it's a much more intimate group of 8. So public channel conversations would be beneficial. And then the big thing is we have a lot of channels, and the default, I think, within RID should be to ignore most channels. And that's the importance of threads. If someone needs to know about a message, they should be tagged. And then if you're having that conversation in a thread, then they're notified about all of those following messages. And they don't necessarily need to read every message that gets posted in, e-com operations or whatever. So like just small things like that, I think will help improve the way that we work over time. The other one that I've got is like, I really want to ramp up. We ran a lot of tests last year. We ran the most house tests. We ran the most intelligence tests. I don't think we have as good cross-department sharing of those learnings. So I'd like to get into a much better flow of like, when a test gets completed, post it publicly in Slack. We don't have a great system right now for like documenting it in some big shared resource. We'll get there. I just want to get the wheels turning of like everybody get talking and posting, and like we'll just collectively kind of brute force our way to getting on the same page a bit more. And then the ones that kind of like fall in line with that, this larger bucket of learnings, more postmortems after large campaigns, we're okay at. And then end of quarter, end of year reports, like just kind of big stuff to make sure that we are properly reflecting on what we've done, what we've learned, getting that shared out so that, we're developing institutional knowledge across the board. Those are all the things that I've got under like marketing operations improvement.
I have so many questions because we're going through a lot of the same things. Who is responsible for these, like on your team? So like if you have a campaign or if you have a launch, and it's not like it's not just like a pay social thing, but it's like, hey, we had this launch month later, like here's the postmortem. Like who's responsible for that?
So right now that's what's going to become a part of the task system for our like go-to-market op. So we have a marketing project manager who owns all of the go-to-market board when things get on there, creating all the tasks, holding people accountable for those due dates. When people complete things, that information gets added to the go-to-market board. So it becomes like the central single source of truth for everything that we need to know. And then really all it is after the tier 1 campaigns, we'll be creating a postmortem task. And then that will get fed into the channel manager meeting that we have every week. So it'll be like, hey, next Thursday, we want to make sure that our, Q4 postmortem is done. And like, that's really it. And that's why I like the system right now. It feels like we're in a really good flow in terms of like, we have the mechanics, we have the momentum, and now it's just a matter of like tightening the bolts with things like that to get more value out of the system.
But it's like, so it's more of like a channel level postmortem than it is of like one person owning it and being like it's not like you or the VP of marketing being like, hey guys, like this is the launch, here's how it did, here's like, it's kind of more like piece by piece.
Yeah. Totally. Okay, so that's a good question. What it's going to look like in the short term is a channel level postmortem. All the different directors on my team will be reporting in what worked, what didn't. It's become we've done maybe 10 of them over the last couple of years. They're fantastic to look back on, right? It's just so nice when we're preparing for Q4 next year. We can immediately go back and like jog our memory on the things that we learned or tried or want to improve on. I could see over time it evolving into a more formal thing where we're like reporting back, and maybe it's getting shared to Sean or the product team or something like that. Right now, it's almost like collective reflection and note taking for future planning. All right, this episode is brought to you by beloved sponsor Rivo. What is Rivo? They are a retention platform for Shopify Plus customers. They do accounts, loyalty, referrals, membership, cashback, wallet passes, and so much more. Stuart Chaney's the founder. He's very public on Twitter, building best-in-class retention features powered by AI quicker and with higher quality than anybody else in the business. We are lucky to have them as a sponsor. Rivo is working with some of the best brands in D2C like Ridge, HexClad, True Classic, Dr. Squatch, Portland Leather, Fenty Beauty, and hundreds more that are on Shopify Plus and want to provide better experiences for their customers. I think retention is going to be a huge trend in 2026 and beyond. All the effort that we put into incrementality and acquisition will eventually get diverted to retention so that we can continue driving incremental sales. And Rivo as an account solution will play a big part in that. If you want to become a Rivo customer, go to Rivo.io. And right now, all Shopify Plus brands get wallet passes 100% free on the platform. Tell the marketing operator sent you.
So how important is, so like you have this, so what I'm hearing is you have a template, you start with the launch date, and then everything backfills for the steps leading into that launch date, which makes sense. Like that's kind of like what we've done / what we're trying to work towards. And then you have a single person. So you have all the individual contributors that, there's probably 10, 15, maybe 20 plus people that have tasks in that broader go-to-market board. So there's a lot of stakeholders involved there. How, can you just speak to how important is it from your perspective in having that marketing op project manager that's really overseeing the entire, they're not an individual stakeholder on an individual task, but they're responsible for every task, making sure it gets done. How important is that person in making this system work well and making sure that people are completing their tasks on time? Is it possible to self-manage this? And when I say self-manage, I mean not have that person and just trust that every individual stakeholder is going to get their work done in the right amount of time? Or do you think it's no, this doesn't work unless you have this project manager owning and overseeing it?
I think it depends on complexity. My mind goes to two places. One, complexity, where if you have as much as we do, it's just so much easier. You totally want someone in that position, making sure that all the tasks and the items are created and we're hitting deadlines and things like that. But if it's much simpler, then you could theoretically do without it, as long as someone else is they could be spending a small portion of their time, kind of managing the system. The other thing is you really need buy-in across the other teams to work within the system. And that's the other tricky thing where it's there's been many times in the past where we have our anniversary sale coming up. We create that task, but for whatever reason, it's not as connected to the email team's workflow as it could be. So then all of a sudden that will throw you off. So you need, as much as possible, just buy in around that underlying system. What is the itemized version of the deliverable? When is that created? How is that tracked? How are we viewing it collectively? When we are a group, how are we looking at all those things together? And then when you go to your email team meetings, how are you looking at a filtered view of everything that you need everything that you need that's just email related? So that underlying system and the buy-in of it makes it easier to do without a project manager, but we found it so incredibly impactful to have someone owning that.
Yeah, agreed. And then so you're using Notion, right? You said
we're in Notion, yeah.
Cool. And then what's your role in, because in the past, for example, when we've had a project that I've said, hey, growth team, project manager, I want you to own this and manage it and make sure it gets done. I'm really the one going in and saying, here are all the things that need to happen in order for this entire project to come together. Like, all right, we're making like a Yankees funnel for our partner, for like our Yankees partnership. Like we're going to do ads, landing page, a media buy, reporting on it. Like here's all the stepwise things that make that come to life. And then passing that off to the project manager and saying, all right, you're responsible for making sure this happens. You're also responsible for going to all the channel leads and making sure any additional tasks that they think should get added in here get added in. So is that what you're doing with this? Like, are you the one outlining all the steps that leads to a product getting launched in a market and then passing that off to the project manager, or is there a different workflow happening?
We're creating, the first thing that basically happens is creating the marketing summary. And then we have like a long, basically like a big spreadsheet of tasks. And then either myself or the VP of marketing will put together the summary and then select the relevant tasks. As much as possible, I'd like that, like in a perfect world, you can map the priority of the campaign, like whatever people call it, tier 1 or a campaign A or B or whatever, as much as possible. Or in a perfect world, I should say, that maps really closely. Like, hey, tier 1 campaigns get a dedicated landing page. Like you can try to map it out like that. There's always sort of like adjustments and sort of like bespoke needs of any given campaign. So that happens at the summary level. That gets presented to all the channel managers. That's where all those tasks get created by the project manager. And then then the system kind of is able to carry it from there.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so I just want to make sure we're highlighting all. So you're trying to make some improvements on it this year. One is postmortems. You think you guys need to do a better job of like reporting on all these campaigns. Are there any other major level ups or major facelifts that you're trying to give to your marketing operations process this year outside of the postmortems?
The biggest one is just like, we're already testing a lot. I think we could probably test a little bit more, especially across different teams. So let's just call it more testing, more visibility into those tests and learnings.
Yep.
And then that happens in different places. That happens at the channel level. That happens in the postmortems. That happens at end of quarter. That's probably the biggest step change. And one of the reasons for that is we actually very strategically or very purposefully reduce the amount of launches that we had this year. So we should be, from a marketing perspective, spending more time on improving evergreen efforts and strategies. Yeah. That's why it's like that time should go somewhere. It's also really easy. I can see it happening is you have fewer things on the go-to-market board. And instead of spending the same amount of time on those items that you would have last year, just more time gets spent on them. They kind of like fill the void.
Fill space,
when actually what we want to be doing is identifying what brand new paid funnels that are completely disconnected from the go-to-market board. We should have more time to do things like that versus launching new products.
Yeah.
So finding that balance, and I think that will come down. The way that I would like to see that get supported from a marketing ops perspective is this expectation and system around testing, sharing, reflecting, learning.
Yeah.
What are I got a few questions. Yeah. I mean, actually we're doing similar. Like we have a lot of launches planned, so we're still catching up, but I think it's clear like we don't have enough bandwidth for a lot of the evergreen stuff. What are your expectations for testing? Like how many CRO tests are you expecting to do a month? How many like house tests? I think you guys really do a good job from what I saw of your intelligence wrapped of your top 1%, testing. Like, yeah. What are your expectations for velocity of testing?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I am not great at putting like a number on it. The other thing, as it relates to CRO and house, we ran like 50 house tests last year, and I forget the number, but we were in the 100th percentile. That's what the intelligence wrap told me. So like a ton of intelligence tests, a ton of house tests. So on both of those, I'm not all that interested in. I mean, I literally don't even think it's possible to like increase the amount of tests for those channels. For them, it's really just, hey, let's make sure that we are documenting what we're learning and sharing that out so that everybody can benefit from that knowledge. And then, so it's really things like the retention team where I would like to see more true tests getting created. I don't have a KPI for it other than it becomes a common discussion point for go-to-market items where we say, hey, we're launching this thing. Like, what is a test that we could, use in the circumstance? And then the constraints for that are, it should be a test that we'll be able to use in the future. Like it should be a test that can become more of a best practice for future launches. Sometimes people will propose tests that are extremely specific to what we're launching. And it's like, that doesn't have all that much future value. Sometimes it's extremely important. But what I'm more interested in is like, let's test volume of emails. Is 3 or 4 or 5 emails better than 1 email if we're launching a new seasonal color story, something like that, so that when we go to launch the next seasonal color story, we can have a little bit more of a refined strategy.
Yeah. I like volume of testing. Like, I feel like it's one of those things. And again, like 100%, you have to have the right strategy. Like if you're testing not the right things, it doesn't matter. So you got to have the right framework and stuff. But I like volume as a KPI because like as we do our KPIs, we have like inputs and outcomes, and like it's like, what can we control? And I remember like saw this like it was just like a meta analysis that like Meta did with Harvard. It was just like, I forget the stat, but it was like teams that experiment X number of times per year have like 17% lower CAC than teams that don't. And that's like you zoom out over the course of a year, it's kind of like, duh. Like that's like just like one of the things that I think is in our control, that like just for like setting goals is just like, there's a lot we can't control, but like we can do that. And like, that's what I want my team to do. So it's like, we should always have a house test live. We should always have,
Totally.
and struggle with the number. But I guess if you're like, you can think about if you have a house test live, and I think you guys are very aggressive with it, but if you have house test live essentially every week, you're maybe testing 3 to 4 house tests per month, right? If you're aggressive with it, and that's, how many per year. Same thing on CRO. It depends on your traffic and whatever, but it's like 6 to 10 CRO tests per month. And like, that's high. And then like on your main retention flows, you have, that's a little harder, but it's like, I do like that as a KPI, but again, it has to be done properly and thoughtfully as well.
100%. Yeah. I heard that at a Meta event a couple of years ago. It was one in 2023, but some guy from L Catterton was just like, they only care about volume of tests. He's like, trying to set a KPI around tests that you win or like leading to a certain improvement is like so incredibly hard that the best teams are literally just testing more.
I agree. Well, and because like, so in the past I've set KPIs, we thought about like, do we want to set a goal of like no more like diversification goals or new channels? But I'm like, I don't want to incentivize that because maybe that's not the best for your efficiency. And it's like, It's like, as long as we're like, if you're testing properly, you'll just allocate your media mix to where is the most efficient based on that.
And are you doing so for initiatives that are more like, because the stuff that we PM at HexClad is first and foremost the cross-functional stuff. Like I think that is the stuff that you need to have a project manager owning, and like for like the growth operations specialist on my team, like the initiative she owns are just all of our like cross-functional go-to-markets. Like you are responsible for making sure that our cocktail shaker gets launched and that everything in that list of tasks is completed. Like it's very cut and dry, very simple what she's responsible for. How about your initiatives that are just like in a single channel? Like, are you also using an operations project manager for that stuff, or is that more self-managed?
So that's more self-managed. The way that it's shaking out right now, and again, like these things are happening within Ridge, but like it feels like I want them to like take shape over the next couple months. So what we've decided is what's going to make it on the I'm going to answer your question in kind of a roundabout way. What's going to go on the go-to-market board in the future are cross-departmental tests where we say, hey, I'll give you an example. I'm writing a summary now. What I'd really like to do, we do a post-purchase upsell, like everybody does in checkout from our beloved sponsor, Aftersell. I would love to do, I spoke with someone a couple months ago and they do an 8-hour delay on orders. And then they actually spend a number of time with like email and SMS trying to get people to add to their orders, not just on that thank you page, but actually for like the 6, 7, 8 hours just following having placed
the double dash, right?
I'd love to do that. Like the double dash method. Yeah. That's a multi-channel. That would be a multi-channel test. We need ops to be delaying the order and making sure that that's working with fulfill. We need the ecom team to be handling what they need to do from an order or from an integration perspective, if we're using order editing or something like that. And then we need the retention team actually knowing what's happening, being able to drive people to different pages. You probably need a dedicated landing page, something like that. So that's how that's
you got house involvement. How many sponsors can we get? You got house involvement. We got postscript. We've got to be involved.
Yeah. So people are signed in. Rivo's right there, but it's true. Like that is a great example of that's the sort of thing that's extremely hard, at least from my experience at Ridge, extremely hard to get to happen without more deliberate coordination. That's why it's on the go-to-market board. That's why our project manager's involved. That's why it becomes like an agenda item in our channel manager meetings. The flip side is If it's a single channel test, which there's so many of them, subject line tests or A/B tests in post-purchase flows, or, testing new content or a new channel, those are all single channel. Those are self-managed. All I expect from my team to do is be sharing those. And those happen now. As we do those at extremely high rate, like I mentioned, I just want those shared back more transparently. That's the expectation that's being set right now.
I love it. That's a good one. All right. Should we move on from marketing operations?
Can I ask one more?
Yeah.
All right. Wouldn't be a podcast in 2026 without asking about AI. I know obviously how are you, what part of that is being helped or facilitated by AI? I know obviously we've talked about your Loom in the past and kind of helping with that workflow. Yeah. What are you doing with it?
Totally. I mean, okay, so maybe slightly embarrassingly, the way the marketing operations goal is shaping up right now, let me double check. I don't think it has anything AI related. Yeah, no. It's like we're going to get better at Notion. We're going to do the learnings. We're going to be higher signal. We're going to do Slack hygiene. We're going to continue operations. We're going to continue refining the system that we have in place. Where does AI fit in? Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a great answer for you. We do have within Ridge a goal of AI everywhere. That's what Sean's called it. So like we do have actually who project management rolls up to, because we have a marketing project manager, but project manager is its own team within Ridge, and they all roll up into our VP of internal operations. He is the main kind of lead for this AI everywhere. So he'll probably find some cool ways to integrate it. They're always messing around with N8N and figuring out workflows and things like that. But as far as I'm concerned, as it relates to marketing ops right now, I just like to tighten the bolt on what we've got. I don't have any urgency around inserting AI into that process in the short term.
Awesome. Cool.
A bad answer for the podcast.
No, it's okay. We got to be true and realistic.
I should be bringing up Moltbot. I should be talking about, everybody should be getting Mac Minis. I should be talking about quadrupling my workforce with autonomous agents or something. But no, not the case right now.
If you're still making budget decisions based on platform dashboards, you're not optimizing, you're gambling. This episode is brought to you by Prescient AI, the measurement and forecasting platform built for scaling omni-channel brands. Because here's the problem. Attribution tells a story that's convenient, but not always the story that's true. Your best campaigns, they don't just drive direct conversions, they create ripple effects. They lift branded search, they drive organic traffic, direct traffic, and ultimately they improve performance across your entire funnel. Prescient is built to capture the full impact of your marketing, including delayed conversions, cross-channel effects, and the long-tail performance that keeps working even after you've stopped spending. Where Prescient really changes the game is forecasting. Because the real question isn't what worked last month. The real questions are, what happens if we scale this campaign by 10%? Are we already saturated? Or is there still an efficiency pocket we're missing? If we cut spend, will performance hold or will it collapse? And are we balancing top of funnel and bottom of funnel the right way or starving one side of the system? With Prescient, you can forecast at the campaign level, model different spend scenarios, and understand the real relationship between spend and outcomes. So you stop wasting budget on outdated assumptions, because $1 in December is not the same as $1 in August. So instead of defending your numbers in a budget meeting, you can walk in with a plan. And if you're ready to stop guessing and start forecasting, visit PrescientAI.com/operators. Prescient AI, like GPS for performance marketers. All right, I want to go into not necessarily want to because Cody, we've talked a lot about yours. So I more so want to do kind of like a check-in on some of these things and just like, where are you at in the process right now? So one of the ones that I thought was really cool is your rock number 3 here of becoming creator obsessed. And you like the whole rock is just like activating way more creators on behalf of Jones Road Beauty to reach more audiences with more people on more channels. So I want to talk about like, where are you at with that? Like what progress have you made? And yeah, just like, could you just give us like a state of the union on where you're at with this becoming creator obsessed rock?
Everything is in motion and I'm doing everything I can to push it forward. And it's just killing me how long things take to get set up. I don't know if you guys feel like this, especially as the businesses grow, but like, it's just like, yeah, like none of it is launched yet. And like, it's killing me because I'm trying. And it's not like we're not like moving it. Like, I don't think that we're really doing that much to delay it because we also want to do it correctly. So a few things. We are launching TikTok Shop, signed with an agency, been working very closely with like TikTok Shop team, their like beauty leadership team. So super excited about it.
You have to actually launch your shop. Like, did you not have a shop and then
so that's been like actually what it is. So like obviously vetting the agency, but that was, pretty quick. Like aligning on like the actual strategy and whatever, like that's the easy part. It's actually the logistics. And as soon as we, decided we were going to launch, they obviously hit everyone with the whole FBT thing. And so it's just been like, that's a hang up. And then like getting, like all of the approvals that you have to get with your shop. So it's just taking longer than I want,
Dude, the approvals on like we ran into, we're good now, but like literally for 6 months last year, it was just problem after problem after problem. We could not keep our TikTok shop live for more than 2 weeks. And then TikTok would turn it off. I'm like, guys, I went to our TikTok reps. I'm like, we are trying to give you money. Like we are trying to drive revenue through TikTok shop. And they kept turning it off because like some like, naturally, I think TikTok shop is similar to like Yelp, where like the negative experiences get reviews. And like you have like too many negative reviews, like, and then and like, look at our Shopify. We have like 100, like we have over 100,000 5-star reviews, and they just kept turning it off. So I feel that pain, Cody. It took a while to get through it, but we're through it now.
Yeah. So we'll probably launch. I mean, we're in February. We'll probably launch by the end of this month, if not like March 1st is like ours, but like just doing everything we can to just barrel it through and push it through. So that's number one. We are kicking off this like organic, everyone in tech will call it like the UGC program, but like organic, creators across multiple handles starting today. We're working with an agency to do it. We'll eventually bring it in-house, but we're reaching out to like 100 people. We kind of like vetted 100 creators and reaching out and starting that program. The goal is probably to bring on like 10 to 20 for the first month. I talked about it before, but big lesson I've learned before is just like dabbling too much with new launches and things. So it's like, I don't want to start with 3 creators. Like I'd rather start with 20 and, and really give it a really fair shot. So, that is going, but has not happened yet. We're looking for like a head of social. We don't do head of titles, but like, this is going to be the person who's going to like oversee like all of like the like social strategy, creative strategy. So that's like a really big role we're recruiting for. I don't know if you guys know JT Barnett at all. He runs like a agency that normally like recruits creators, but he's also like recruiting. So he's recruiting this for us. And I think he just like totally gets like creator ecosystem. So that'll be a big one. And like that'll obviously build out like our internal studio. But yeah, no, we're doing a lot. There's a lot that it's just in works. Like we're doing this open casting for our upcoming complexion product launch. And like we'll have like a bunch of creators at it. We have a launch like that'll be kind of like models and stuff as part of it. And like turning really just like building out the studio we have internally. We have a launch later in the year with a creator as kind of like the face of it. So like excited about that. So yeah, there's a lot that's in the works. It's just, dude, I don't know. As business grows, it just takes longer, which is just killing me. I just want to get this stuff live and launched.
I feel that like that poke that it's taken too long. I think it's important to the context. I think even though it feels slow to us, we're all probably moving faster than most brands of our size.
And I'm like calm about it now. Like here, I'm like I drive my team crazy with like the speed I expect them to do. And actually, like we have like a shout out channel, just like shouted out 2 of them today, just for like pushing the TikTok shop stuff because it's just like grunt work. It's like not fun. Like my systems guy has to upload like 100 spreadsheets to get like all of our like ASIN or whatever the equivalent data would be into TikTok. Like it's just like not fun stuff. And there's a lot of blocking and tackling right now because like even to Connor MacDonald's point about this like cross department thing, it's like it's a new channel. And when we thought we were going to launch TikTok Shop initially, it was like, oh, you just integrate it with Shopify and it's just boom.
Totally.
And now it's like, no, like it feels like the tariff situation where like it was sprung on everybody so quickly, like the whole FBT thing. It was sprung on everybody so quickly and no one really knows. And so like we're waiting for the 3PLs to get integrated and get the right labels set up. They're waiting to hear back from TikTok. TikTok is waiting to hear back from who knows what. Like, so my guess is it gets pushed back. But if
the CCP,
yeah, essentially. So, you just got to keep pushing. I'm just pushing it. So I'm excited about it. I'll have updates. I can't wait till we do.
Cody, I feel like going in our experience in the last year, it was like this absolute crawl towards getting there. And then like once we got there, it felt like we hit this like one of those like speed strips in Mario Kart. And like now we're getting like 500, 1,000 videos, like hundreds and hundreds of videos. So it just took us forever to get there. But that once we hit like some level of tipping point, and now we're good. Because now we're getting orders, and now we're not running into those like automated, oh, we're turning your shop off issues. So I think you're gonna get to a point where all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, now we're like in tons of content, and it's really humming.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Are you guys running GMV Max, Connor? Like, what's the paid strategy for TikTok right now?
There isn't much of one. It's mainly like, at least as far as TikTok Shop goes, it's like we're really trying to just like arbitrage TikTok Shop affiliate content.
Yeah.
So
so I heard the stat the other day from someone. I've had a bunch of conversations around TikTok Shop, and I hadn't heard this, and it totally took me off guard. But we also hired an agency to help come on and manage it, and they were like, yeah, 90% plus of your TikTok revenue should come from, we expect 90% of your TikTok Shop revenue to come from GMV Max. So GMV Max is like loading up all the organic posts into like, I don't really know the technical details, but it's almost like a different product within TikTok's paid offering. You have the standard TikTok Shop ads where I could drive people to ridge.com. GMV Max is taking organic posts, promoting those, driving people to TikTok Shop, and then you get more benefits of getting organic views in this case. So they said 90% of our revenue should be coming from GMV Max. And I'm like, oh, that's just running ads. I'm like, I even sort of corroborated it with another brand that I'd spoken to. They're a very big beauty brand. They said 70% plus of their TikTok Shop revenue. They said it's really tricky attribution because there's so much stuff going on between the affiliates and organic and your paid ads and your GMV Max ads. But they said 70% plus is probably coming from GMV Max. So I hadn't thought about that in our strategy, but it made me feel better about the whole thing. We're going to get a couple hundred people creating content. The good content will promote a lot. We do that all the time, and we'll run ads essentially to our TikTok Shop and drive revenue that way. So, Cody, I'm curious, have you heard the same, or like, how do you foresee your guys' TikTok Shop program and the like affiliate support around it coming together?
I hadn't heard that. What I've heard is, by the way, we should, because we're all like, and I know I don't know how old you are, but I know I'm like older than you guys. I feel like we should have a non-Unk on, and we should have like a Gen Z, maybe one of our agencies on who actually knows TikTok Shop to like, because we're probably talking out of our ass. But I have heard that it's essentially essential. Like you can't really do it without it, right? Like
yeah,
you have to do it. So I don't know the percentage. When I originally met with TikTok, it was like 99 or 97% of revenue was driven by creators, right? It's like almost nothing from brand and like almost nothing from like your actual shop. Like no one's using it as like discovery of like shop. And I think they're trying to grow that, but it was like, it's obviously all creator. And I don't know what percent is GMV Max or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was like exclusively creator, but what I'm learning now, which I totally believe, and frankly squares much more for me, is that it's a combination of the creator posting and then really the brand then promoting that via GMV Max. And I'm sure that sort of revenue is attributed to the creator in the 95, 97% that you just mentioned from TikTok. Sure. So anyway, interesting. That's my small update. I was like, oh, I feel like that's going to dramatically shift how we think about our TikTok Shop program.
We're doing a lot of, we hired this agency we're doing it internally, and then we hired an agency that specializes in this, but we're doing live TikTok Shop live events where like we'll do a live stream for like an hour and someone's like running through the products. We'll usually do it around some moment, and we see really good performance in that moment doing that. We'll do like flash sales during it. We also reach a ton of new accounts, so it's also like a top of funnel play for us. And that's been really interesting. So now our TikTok Shop strategy is like part that, and we're doing those like monthly, and then we're just seeding a ton with TikTok Shop affiliates. Are you guys doing any of the live stream shopping stuff yet?
No, not yet. That's perfect for you guys. I mean, that's not that much different than Costco Roadshow.
Exactly. It's literally the same exact thing, just in a different medium.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's just long form, like it's like a cool long form way to kind of organically talk about these products that are super expensive, that you can just kind of sell it a little bit better than you can in a 45-second Facebook ad or Instagram ad.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, so here's our strategy right now that we're trying to flesh out. It's obviously very creator led. So like the agency we're working with works with other brands and works with beauty brands. Like they're going to recommend, creators L3 and above. We'll go 500 samples per product. We'll probably launch with 2 to 3, SKUs. I'm so curious to see what performs. Like, so we're going to take one of our hero products and we'll do some with Miracle Balm. We're going to try something that's a little different. Maybe something that's like a tier 2, but not like a hero that we think could do better there. And then we'll do some type of a bundle. So I'm excited to see what does better and just we'll experiment, which is great. And then TikTok had this strategy that I love is like because I was like, hey, we don't really love to do much discounting. Like, what else can we do? Is like exclusive and like, and this is easy because we don't have any other channels, but like launching a product on Shop 2 weeks before D2C, I'm really curious to see how that would do. And just like, does it build up hype and anticipation for the launch? So that'll be something we probably try, but I'm excited to be able to report back and see, what we're finding going into it with, hypotheses, but an open mind.
Sweet. All right, let's go back to one of Connor's. Connor, do you want to go through your partnerships one or your retention one?
Okay, let's do retention as a product because I'm interested in your guys' perspective here. Okay, so I'll read it out quickly. Retention as a product, moving beyond generic email blasts to more scalable, personalized experiences with better segmentation, automation, and testing. I'm reading. Do I have it right here? CMO of Meta, Alex Schultz. Click here. I'm doing some classic learning. And it's really a fantastic book. I would, if you guys have some time, I think it's very fun. But one thing he talks about, and it makes sense, right? Alex is the CMO at Meta, and then he was like head of growth for a long time of WhatsApp, Instagram, and the Facebook app. And so he talks about product marketing, and he's like, that's the marketing that's integrated into your product, push notifications. It really is what like I think retention is for an e-com brand. For them, it's a marriage of push notifications and then the product itself, on-site merchandising and things like that are all things that he would consider product marketing. But this idea that, like he mentions product marketing as people you may know like revolutionized the growth of the Facebook app because all of a sudden this small little feature that they could embed within the page, or I don't know if they ever do push notifications around it, but you could just as easily see them pinging you with like, hey, do you know Connor Rolain? And it's like, oh yeah, I do. And now I'm engaged with the app and now I'm growing more friends. And it was just like really meaningful impact on the growth. So I've been thinking about this idea of product marketing. How do we automate more of our marketing based on who we know someone is and what they've been doing? The other interesting data point that I have is we did an analysis of cross-category buying in a single order. So we have wallets, we have rings, we have luggage, we have tech, power banks, phone cases, things like that. What we see right now is that there is essentially zero cross-category buying whenever anybody checks out. That 97% of an order is coming from a single category at any given time. Very few people are buying a luggage and a wallet at the same time. What I find interesting about that is it really goes to show that we are acquiring completely different people when we're acquiring those different orders. And because of that, we should have far more like automated systems speaking to each of those. And we have semblances of this because intuitively it makes sense. Like we have a welcome series for prospects of each of those categories, and we have post-purchase flows for each of those categories, but they're not nearly as personalized as they could be. And I actually think we can take that many more steps forward to say, hey, we know that we somehow figure out, or we categorize you as a prospect of luggage. So now you're in the luggage welcome series. You purchase luggage, you get the post-purchase. But even saying, hey, how do we get this luggage customer now? How do we push them to become a wedding band prospect? We have no system like that now. We have welcome series, we have post-purchase flows. They go back to the site and for some reason sign up again via a ring pop-up, so they become a ring prospect. They're functionally moving over. But we have no automated systems to do that. So what I would like to be doing is establishing more like on-site triggers and more behavioral, behavior on site that we can then build retention experiences around.
Some kind of like event capture. Like, hey, if they like, are you thinking if they clicked into these pages as well or viewed them, or what do you have in mind?
Yeah, exactly. Like that would be a great one, right? if anybody at any time checks out luggage, they become in market for luggage. And then we could theoretically treat that person different if they're already a customer or if they're still a prospect. And then we could have flows built out around that. And then just thinking about it from a scalable perspective, using more of the, I forget what they're called in Klaviyo, but like the dynamic elements and things like that. We're just, how do we move away from our effort going to weekly campaigns or, updating flows for different sale periods or product launches or whatever, and instead go to like a system of automations that support all the different types of prospects and customers that we have and supports how they are shopping between categories over time, because that's the only time that we're seeing it. It's not happening at the order level. That's kind of my vision for the program. And I guess the last thing that I would say, because McCoy said this from Portland Leather Goods on our podcast last year, is at some point retention becomes like the most important thing within Ridge. I don't think it's this year, but like I'd like to be laying more of the groundwork, because I think it's probably 2027 where all of a sudden we say, hey, we're acquiring millions of customers a year. Acquiring more of them is getting harder and harder. Like, let's make sure we have the systems to continue extracting value from these people. All right, so I've got some interesting numbers to share from Ridge, from our beloved sponsor, Richpanel. We switched our support stack at Ridge to Richpanel about 15 months ago, and our cost per ticket has dropped over 70%. That means same team, same volume, and over $500,000 in annual savings. CSATs have not changed. We've been sitting at 96% week after week, so the automations did not come at the cost of customer experience. Our last platform talked a lot about AI, but nothing was really changing under the hood. Richpanel is genuinely AI first. They came in, they rebuilt our workflows, and we were live in under 2 weeks with basically no lift on our side. And they're about to roll out a returns portal, which for us is huge, because if they can do the same thing for returns as they did for customer service, that would be sick. If you want to cut down your support costs now and save on returns platform with an AI-first platform, talk to Richpanel. Go to richpanel.com/demo, tell them Connor from Marketing Operators sent you, and they'll take good care of you. Thank you.
That's interesting. Cody, to your point about like using some sort of events to fill these lifecycle marketing flows, that was actually how we set ours up. I mean, a couple of years ago, as we were building out our non-cookware post-purchase automations, where basically the filter, the trigger was has bought before and has visited any one of these pages. So for knives, for example, it's like you have bought, and if you visited a knife collection page or any knife product page, we are then going to put you in a knife automation. It sounded good in theory. What we ultimately found out was like the volume just wasn't as high as we wanted it to be. And like at that, I think what the decision that we made was, assuming open rate and click rate are really good, which is obviously a signal of like engagement from the audience. Like we just need to be optimizing for volume, because we believe, and so far it hasn't led us astray, is like if we can get more of our customers through more of these post-purchase lifecycle marketing flows on these product categories, when they are ready to buy it, we're gonna see that we're gonna get more volume out of repeat buyers. Like that has held true. So we actually like went back a little bit on that, because we wanted to prioritize volume. But now the trade-off is that we don't really have like a super sensical way of like funneling people into these automations. So like we have a ton of like the way that we have our post-purchase, we have a very robust post-purchase lifecycle marketing web right now. And it starts off with like a general post-purchase cross-sell flow where you're going to get awareness of all of our categories, and then it goes into the product specific, but it's all stepwise. It's like, all right, you're getting the general one first, then knives, then hex mills. So I'm trying to find that balance of like, how do we, what's the middle ground between where we started, where it was too segmented and volume wasn't there, but now it's like volume's there, but it's not as segmented. That's the balance we're trying to find at in like trying to, I know Klaviyo is building some functionality around this. We use a tool called Revamp that also builds a functionality. Like I think someone's going to build a really awesome tool where it's just like, hey, based on all the data points we have, we think person A is the most likely to buy knives. So we're going to put them in knives. And now we have, instead of stepwise flows, they're all happening at the same time. It's just a matter of which one you go into. And that's like some sort of technology tool is going to be the driver of that. So like, how are you thinking about that, Connor? Like, how are you thinking about why would we put someone in luggage versus rings versus tech? Like, do you have any like kind of triggers in mind right now that would drive that?
Well, I've actually a question for you first. Are you guys doing any sort of identity resolution? Like, are you using an LVAR cookie enrichment or
we use LVAR.
Yeah.
Which definitely helps. I mean, that certainly helps the volume, right? Like that right there. And we ran tests on this when we first rolled out Elevar of like, hey, like pre-purchase, like here's everyone that we tracked just with our like Klaviyo, and then here's everyone we also tracked with Elevar, and like it was a no-brainer to do it.
Yeah, 100%. You're probably sending 3 times as many of the like behaviorally triggered flows. Yeah, no, my idea is actually similar to what you described. What you said you guys have moved away from is like, yeah, depending on what people are viewing, then they're getting pushed into those flows. Because you do have, we have the same like post-purchase flow where it's like you get a note from the founder, you hear about what the wallet experience is going to be like, then we'll talk about luggage and we'll talk about power banks, whatever. The problem with that is just, one, people are dropping off throughout, right? So the people are getting less engaged, like just naturally within any flow. I think people are engaging at a lower and lower rate over time. And then you also have, at least right now, we have nothing set up for like 3 months later if someone views that product. So I think maybe it's some combination of the two where you're getting the volume and almost like discoverability of like someone who just purchased a wallet knowing that we also sell luggage. But then you also have those behavioral flows set up later on so that when that person becomes in market next summer, when they're planning for their holiday trip, that we actually are sending them relevant messages. Because right now we have like no mechanics in place to actually do that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'll let you know. That's our next like phase of revamp is trying to see how we can leverage it in post-purchase. Because we tested revamp, which is basically just like dynamic content in the subject lines and dynamic product recommendations.
Yeah.
And like we tested it versus our static pre-purchase lifecycle, and we saw huge lifts in revenue per user. So now I'm really excited about bringing it into post-purchase. And I don't necessarily want them to, I just want to use their segmentation functionality. It's like, hey, just tell me who's the most relevant for knives, and we'll put them into this beautiful, really informational knives flow that we have a 4 email sequence. Like, I don't want to replace that. I just want to like, what's the segmentation of getting someone in there is what we're trying to figure out.
Dude, 100%. And like this is...
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I know, I mean, I've spoken to other brands that do this way better because like Ridge has just been such an acquisition oriented brand that it's like, yeah, we have your standard abandoned cart, browse abandonment. We have post-purchase, we have welcome series, we have a sunset flow, things like that, like the basics. But what you're describing, Connor, is what I'm excited about, where I think there's so much more nuance to create over time. And at least theoretically, it also compounds over time, where it's like we can send one campaign email that does well and it's great and we got 10 cents per send or whatever. But like what I'm actually way more excited about at this point is how do we identify sending a relevant high value message, even if it's just to a few hundred people. We can do that every single day. We can find more and more ways in order to do that. And we can find more and more triggers to push people into those relevant automations. And then you think about supporting that from a on-site personalization with like signed in shopping, with SMS, with email. All of a sudden you can just build like a really robust sort of system. That's the vision. So I think we'll start fleshing that out this year. That is why it's an initiative.
This is revamp.ai. Is that what it is? Okay, cool. I got to check that out. I have a question and then got one small thing to add. Connor, have you seen, because I'm curious, obviously such a different business, when you do get a cross-category shopper, LTV on those, like if somebody's doing it naturally, are they much higher?
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. And I mean, we see a lot of interesting, like the LTV on like a wallet customer is like more than doubled over the last few years,
wow,
which is great, but like it started at a very small number. So it's actually not that great. It's like a couple more dollars or whatever. But we see much higher value from someone like a luggage customer, which is interesting. Yeah, and that's like, I think
is it easier to go take them and then try to cross-sell them into a wallet, or vice versa, or it's like whatever, you got to do both?
Yeah, like luggage, they're all different basically, but luggage, for instance, there's a nice ecosystem. We have carry-ons and check-ins and duffel bags and backpacks. There's just a lot more reasons to come back, and even if you're not shopping cross-category in your second order, there's a lot more reasons for a travel customer to come back and place a second travel order. And then also the wallet is a great sort of, I don't know if it's considered a downsell, right? But like very solid wallet. As a customer, you'll get a great deal on it. As I've talked about a bunch of times, men are never really thinking about their wallet. Like we literally have a good product for those people. So that's a much easier sell than trying to get a $95 wallet customer to buy up into a $300 piece of luggage.
Yeah, exactly. Are you I think you should be thinking about it not just like but actually on site as well with merchandising. And it's different because it's not a consumable, but like what we find is people that are first purchase cross category shopping are, much higher value. So like we'll do a lot of kits, right? And so like we know that people that buy a kit is usually a more valuable customer to us. And it's different. It's a consumable, but we're doing, we're doing a lot of even like sampling. Like obviously it's not something you can do, but I would also think about it like even from an upselling perspective on site, or like I know you guys have some kind of kits and stuff. Like obviously you can't, I don't know if you can bundle a wallet into a luggage, but I would just think about it even on a acquisition as well.
Totally. Yeah. And for you guys, that makes sense. Like if you get Miracle Balm and the SPF moisturizer, there's now two things that someone can repurchase if they like them. You've doubled the chances that they found something that they like.
Yeah, little different. One thing we're doing similar, I really want to check out Revamp. That seems cool. We're redoing our quiz, which I'm really excited about. So we're going to build it custom.
Okay.
But thinking, I think, and now I'm actually curious to check out Revamp because of this, but like trying to think very specifically about obviously like trying to improve the UX on a quiz and make it like really, really excellent, which I'm really excited about because it's not currently. But from just a data collection standpoint, like what do we want to be able to collect to, tailor that journey? And then also one of the things we're really thinking about is what's a predictor of high LTV? Like there's I don't want to name any names, but there's somebody I know who has like a fitness app and they essentially like don't optimize for purchases. They optimize for a quiz answer. And they've just found that to correlate really well with high LTV. So where my data analyst right now is going through and we're looking through, it's like, what is either currently correlated to a really good customer? Because from a signal engineering perspective, you can do that. Like right now we're optimizing for quiz completions on some of our ads, but could it be like more specific to get the right signal? And just from a general data collection as well. So that's something I'm really curious to see anything that we can find. But I think that's something that's been really cool. One way we're segmenting as well is we started using outer signal. I think we talked about it on the pod, but like it's just the data. Like Connor, I know you guys use it well. Have you seen like their new analytics as part of the persona stuff?
I've seen that. Are you saying when they're like saying, hey, here's a persona we've uncovered and in your Shopify data and X% of your customers fall into this persona?
I might have a beta access to like a version, but where now it has like product affinity. And so it'll be like, hey, this persona over indexes in this product or under indexes in this product. And then like this persona, this is the LTV and the repeat rate by persona. So it's been so cool, and we're testing kicking off more segmented flows that way, where if somebody is a busy mom versus if they're a professional executive, like we're going to talk to them very differently, and even being able to recommend and upsell different products to them. So that's definitely a big focus, is just these like big persona funnel journeys.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So Cody, for both, I'm curious, the outer signal persona data or the quiz data, and maybe the quiz data is a better example. Like, where is that information getting written down to so that you can use it for segmenting?
Like technically?
Yeah.
Data warehouse. We're building this custom. I think right now we're using an app and it goes to Klaviyo. There's an integration with the app that goes to Klaviyo, and then Klaviyo is hooked up to our data warehouse, but hopefully it's all in a data warehouse that we can then do. But that's over my head.
Got it. No, totally. I was just curious. I think that's another interesting part of all of this as we get, because we're all like on similar tracks here in terms of wanting to get more first party data around our customers. And I don't know what the long-term solve is for where that data lives. It could be a data warehouse or some sort of CDP or something like that, because you also need it. Like in a perfect world, you have the ability to segment that data across other channels. So like if you write it right to Klaviyo, can you use that data in PostScript? If you write it down, we write some things down to the Shopify profile, and then you can kind of use it a lot of different places. I think that's kind of an interesting, lightweight sort of enriched CRM in a way. Because that's another like, or even if I want to be triggering stuff for, Postpilot or whatever. If I get a high LTV person, Outer Signal comes in, I get a lead, Outer Signal says, hey, this person's actually your perfect persona. We think they'll have a really high LTV. How am I then using that information to trigger a Postpilot flow so I can make sure that I convert them? that feels like a really important piece of this that like I don't have a clear view on currently.
It's over my head. Even PDQ, I know, is a sponsor of an upcoming episode, so they do some stuff on site, and like we've talked to them about doing like a predictive LTV, and so like if for whatever, I don't know how they're doing it, but if somebody's a predicted LTV, like do we want to in cart like discount shipping on the first order just because we're like, hey, let's take a little bit less margin on this person because we know they're going to be good or something like that. Or we're also, like we're trying to segment. So not just use the quiz answers in retention flows, but also on site. And so are we able to do upsells and merchandise things differently based on quiz answers or what they said? I just don't know. Like from what I've talked to, and I don't know if you guys have any experience, like aggressive personalization on site you can just go down such a far rabbit hole. And then it's like, there's a lot of maintenance. I don't know if you guys are doing any of it. That's been my hesitation in the past.
Yeah, we're not doing a ton of it. We used to do it more in the past where we would run like offers to certain segments and like we would use UTMs to trigger a unique web experience. We're not doing it as much anymore. Again, I think like what my advice would be to brands as they're building out, like get all the information and all the product pushes in your cross-sell flows that are serving your business objectives. And I really think the place to start is always optimizing for volume with the assumption that your open rate and your click rates are really good. Obviously, if you're getting really good volume through these flows, but your open rates suck and your engagement sucks, well, then there's something wrong with the audience. But that's been like that's where we've trended and it's worked well for us. And I think generally people probably segment too much too early, especially in these cross-sell flows where like it's like, oh wow, we only put 1,000 people through this flow in a single month. Well, that's probably not what you want. Like if you could get 10,000 people through there and you're still getting good engagement, like you just opened up that segment so much. And if the engagement's there, it's clearly relevant, even though you're not doing a ton of like quote unquote like segmenting or technical segmenting.
Totally. I think that's great advice. I totally agree. Optimizing for volume, that's definitely like the far right curve ninja Wojak approach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree.
Operators, quick gut check here. Q1 is when everyone realizes the same thing at once. Traffic gets more expensive, growth slows down. So the question isn't how do I drive more demand? It's how do I make more money from the demand I already have? That is exactly why we use Aftersell by Rocked. Most brands think upsells are about being aggressive, but they really aren't. They are about timing. And the best time to upsell someone is when they're already in buying mode, which is when it's right after someone buys. So Aftersell, it lets you put the right offer at the right moment with one click. There's no re-entering payment info. There's no extra checkout steps. Brands using Aftersell see around a 30% lift in AOV. And when you're running real volume, that adds up fast. But here's the part most people miss. It's not just upsells that Aftersell adds. Once you're live, you unlock the entire Rocked monetization suite. Rocked Thanks monetizes your thank you page with premium, non-competing offers. Think Disney Plus, HelloFresh, and brands are seeing 30 cents to 50 cents in pure profit per order. Rocked Pay Plus adds a clean wallet placement at checkout and kicks back another 10 cents to 15 cents in profit per order without hurting conversion. And in some cases, it actually improves conversion. No inventory, no new ads, no operational lift, just margin. This isn't growth hacking. It's just found money. If Q1 is about tightening margins and getting paid more for the traffic you already earned, go to aftersell.com/operators, activate Rocked Thanks or Rocked Pay Plus, and you'll get the full Aftersell suite free for a year or an extended 60-day trial for post-purchase upsells.
One of I think the highlight of our influencer program in the last 3 years has been product seeding. We have a very successful product seeding program. We've gotten tons of social impressions, great CPMs, really good hit rate on seeding. Started off with Align Growth with Josh and had a lot of success there. Then we brought it in-house and we've continued to fine tune this program. And it's been really great, especially on Instagram and TikTok. But one of the rocks I have for my influencer team there is to go attack YouTube more, specifically organic YouTube. We do a lot on paid YouTube. That's been a really successful channel. We're scaling there. But I'm trying to wrap my head around organic YouTube and how we can become more relevant there and get more, just ultimately get more impressions there. So I'm curious. I have a question for you guys because there's two paths I'm thinking about, which is A, let's go take X dollars from our yearly influencer budget and say, hey, this is for organic YouTube. Like, let's go pay creators to get integrated in their content so we're getting more impressions in YouTube. The other parallel path is product seeding. Like, I'm curious, can we get some of the same success we've had on Instagram and TikTok as on YouTube, just purely through our product seeding flow? I'm assuming it's probably going to need to be a combination of both, but I wanted to, maybe Connor, I'll start with you because I know you guys have done a lot of organic YouTube. Like, what do you think will work best here? Is it paid deals? Is it product seeding? Am I wrong in thinking that like product seeding can work on YouTube? Like, what's your experience been there?
My gut is I think you should pay creator. Like, if you haven't done much paid YouTube and native integrations, I would for sure try it. I would move the influencer budget, which must be going to, Instagram or TikTok creator or somebody else. I would totally try that on YouTube. Fantastic ad space, super deep integrations. People have opted in to watching content from their favorite creators. You get a 90-second integrated ad rate. It's just like, even if it's coming at a $20, $30, $40 CPM, I think that's good. For you guys in particular at the AOVs and everything. So then I would also say, if you sign, like, the advantage that you have at HexClad and being like a cookware company is if you sponsor creators who then like you, it will become organic impressions over time.
Right.
Like, and we didn't hit it. One of my other focuses for this year is partnerships, organic social affiliates. Like, I would just love to have, rather than like hard integrations on more posts, I would just love to have like presence and visibility in more, like, for us, like men's content. How do we get in more automotive content or sports content? For us, that might be like t-shirts or things like that. But if you're just sponsoring, hey, I'm going to go out and sponsor 40 YouTubers, you'll probably have 8 of them just use your cookware for the rest of the year.
Right.
And just, again, like, I go back to like almost brute forcing it up front and being like, just pay to get in them. Seeding probably works also, but like, I think the 80-20 here is going after the biggest people, paying to get in the videos, and then knowing that some of that will just become sort of latent attention and impressions over time.
And you're saying because, like, if you, let's go say you sign an organic deal with a person who has 500,000 subs, they're a cook, and you pay them for a single integrated like product review, but then just naturally they're making cooking content. If they like your product, you're just going to start showing up in their videos after that, even though that's not technically part of it. Yeah, I agree with that. I fully think that's probably what would happen.
Like, we have just so many examples of this. And the only reason we don't have more is because the wallet is such not a visible product, right? Like, we had one last year, Pat McAfee, the old Colts punter and the news at Barstool, and now he's on ESPN. We sponsored him a bunch of times. He's been using his Ridge wallet now for years. And then it came up on College Game Day. He'd forgotten his wallet at one of the other coaches' offices. So he was giving back his wallet, and it was like a Ridge wallet on College Game Day. So it's like, we are there. Like, we've sponsored people, we've given them product, they like the product, they use it. That occasionally turns into organic impressions. And I just think for something as visual as cooking content, like, you'll just get infinitely more of that with cookware.
Yep, totally. That's really good advice. I like that. That's what I think I'll do this quarter with our influencer team, is have them own a key result of like, you need to go activate with this many creators on YouTube organic, give them a budget range, but really have like the number of creators activated, and then track over time, like how many of these people is our product showing up in second time, third time, fourth time. Because if it's not showing up, like, I know YouTube has a longer tail, but I am going to have it's going to be hard for me to invest in, let's say it's a $50,000 activation, it's an integration, it's a $30 CPM, but then like, that's it. And we don't see a ton of revenue from these because it's like upper funnel. It's just gonna be hard unless we're getting that person, then our product showing up in like a more of a seeding way over and over again. That it's gonna just be hard for me. So I'm gonna have to see like, what is that repeat rate on these deals?
You'll have to try it too, because I think you might be surprised by the revenue you can drive from the integration itself too. It's such good ad space. It's such a deep integration.
This is like my lesson, and Connor, let me know if you disagree, but like, when we first launched and tried YouTube, right, I think 2 things. We didn't have a strong measurement strategy in place, and we dabbled too much. And so, like, transparently, we went out with like $50K a month budget. That was what we were like recommended. And it just wasn't enough, because you can test, depending on the size, like, you can only test a handful of creators, and you're just not going to know in the beginning. And so it's just not enough to see a big impact. We didn't really know how we were going to measure it, and because you'll see good revenue, but it's not going to all be clicks. So there's some multiplier in there. So you have to be comfortable with that. And then we we essentially cut it after 2 months. And I think any new channel that's not a algorithmic thing, like we really are trying to give it like a 3 months, but like ideally 6 months, and just like be much more committed to like showing up there. Like I was listening to Samir from Colin and Samir on Open Residency, that podcast Sean was on today. And like, he's talking about like, their deals with Shopify and stuff like that. And like, you're not just buying revenue on a thing, like you're buying association and things like that. Like, and again, I know it's not just a brand play, but like it does live somewhere in the middle. And so I do think you will get clear revenue. It's not like you're going to get any, but it's probably not going to look great from a CFO perspective in the beginning, from like a last click. And then it just kind of does take time. And then the other thing with YouTube, it just takes time. So those views will continue to stack up. So you just got to make sure everyone has the buy-in and is committed to a little bit of a longer haul on it. Connor, what do you think on that?
No, yeah, I think that's totally right. It also differs by category. It will be difficult to measure, especially since you guys spend a lot on YouTube. Like, $50,000 a month budget. Like I did, like post-purchase, I think would be nice early on. Like that's how we measure. A lot of our podcast advertising are actually views served on YouTube. And we do a lot of that analysis via our post-purchase survey. But one of the things that helps there is we'll spend like $2 million on that this year. So it's like we're at the volume where we can get some signal around stuff like that. But I really do think it's totally worth you guys trying, Connor.
Yeah.
Like I think there's a lot of wins to be had there.
Sweet. Are you guys using, are you getting usage then in those integrations for paid?
Some of them, but not all of them.
Not all? Okay. Got it. Cool. No, I get that's a lot of good stuff to think about. Appreciate the feedback. All right. Let's wrap there. That's episode 100.
Our Centurion episode.
Let's
I looked
go.
up earlier. I could properly use that word. Hell yeah.
All right, that's a wrap on episode 100 of the Marketing Operators. Spent this episode talking about some of the big strategic objectives for Jones Road Beauty, Ridge, and HexClad. So it's a very awesome, jam-packed strategic episode. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share with all of your marketing friends. And as always, thank you to the sponsors, Motion, Richpanel, Prescient, Aftersell, and Rivo. Hope you enjoyed.